got to stop additional emissions under all circumstances. But even if we stop it on the short term, it will not be enough.
Starting from where we are already today, by mid of the century, we need to remove about 10 to even 20 billions of tons of CO2 from the air every year.
If we like it or not, we are a civilization based on technology. And the problems we create will hopefully have solutions that come from technology and from behavioral changes and from a few other things. But technology, I cannot imagine a future where the challenges we're facing today have been all addressed and solved without resorting to technologies that still need to be developed, that maybe are in a very early stage today, or that are available but so far unused and need to be put to good use. Confirmed that you can technically do it, take the CO2 out of the atmosphere. The atmosphere not only is continuously loaded with more CO2, but we know that the current levels are too high for the future. So we have to take it out actively again.
There are biological ways to do it. So we can plant trees and preserve existing trees. That is very important, and we should do as much as possible of that. But likely this will not be sufficient. So it will not be sufficient to only think of avoiding emissions. It will not be efficient to only think of natural solutions. And it will also not be sufficient to just think of one single magic silver bullet technology that will save us. We are building machines that capture CO2 out of ambient air. Those are modular machines built up out of shipping containers. You can imagine these as big boxes with filters inside, and these filters are large, porous elements like sponges. And then in a first step, we draw ambient air through them, and CO2 is captured at the surface of these filters. In a second step, we close the boxes, heat the filters up to around 100 degrees Celsius, and extract concentrated CO2 out of them. And we can repeat that all over again.
Since critical infrastructure, I think in many cases is there where there is an interest of society overall that is not just the sum of individual interests and not a sum of business interests.
If at some point in time we say, hey, the balance of the Earth's climate depends on this machinery sitting there on all various places all over the world, removing 10 billion tons of CO2 out of the air, because that keeps the balance with another 10 billion tons which are emitted. Those might be unavoidable emissions. Then this, I would say, by definition, is a critical infrastructure.
At this very moment in time, we're still in the early phase where this industry needs to prove its capacity, it needs to prove its competencies, that it can play the role that many people expect it to play. I think the challenges we take on is we do so out of necessity.
I believe technology as climate solution has the biggest scaling potential of all solutions. What we are doing here when we are trying to mitigate climate risks, most importantly, we are trying to preserve the Earth as a space to live for us as humans.